Hi there, and welcome back to The Doors. I'm Nicholas, one of your co-hosts, and today we're going to be talking about finding your frequency and what that means in the first place and how that can help you live a better life. Thank you so much for tuning in and supporting, for just even watching. You don't know how much it means to have all you that continue to listen and make our dreams come true. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Good job. Hey guys, Nick here.
What's going on, y'all? Zach here.
We're just two guys trying to make the world a better place.
And welcome to The Doors.
Okay, so go ahead and hit play, and that's what we're going to have at the beginning of the podcast. We'll start with the
Yeah? It's already started.
Getting on our frequency, guys. We're finding that frequency.
All right. What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? This is another episode of The Doors. I am your host, Nicholas Sternloff.
I am your co-host, Zachary Otts.
And y'all, it's time to open some doors today. So we actually had, my mother wrote a poem, and I've been writing a lot of poetry lately, and my mother wrote a poem, and it involves the doors, and I just could not help putting it in this episode. And honestly, I'd love to have other people's poetry, whatever, something on their mind, whatever they want to put out into the world. I'd love to start doing some content from our viewers. But this is the poem that she wrote. I don't know the name of it, but it's beautiful. So here it is. I'm going to say it. I stood in front of a great stone wall that grew from me to the ground, from the ground to the sky. I wondered who would put it there, and I'd wondered then why. They say that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step so small, but feeling alone and beaten down, I'd never get past this wall. I beside the wall both ways, no getting past something so tall. I dug deep down till my fingers bled. I tried to climb, but I only fell a fall. I struggled and cried, and sometimes cried some more. There was no end in sight. I'd plan, I'd try, always to fail, and collapse, exhausted each night. Then I opened my heart and my mind and gave it all my might. And that's when I suddenly realized it had never been about the fight. I had to open up myself and see what could maybe be. But if I was going to do this, it was going to be up to me. I took a breath to fill my lungs and gather my energy stores. And upon a calm and deeper look, that wall had been made of doors.
Woo. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, I know. My mom told me this and for the first time when she started writing it, and I was like, what? I was like, that is amazing.
Dude, I have chills.
Yeah.
I have chills from that. Because it is, man. It's ultimately you have the power to change whatever you want. You have the power to pick the life you want. You have the power to pick the reality that you want. And it's just interesting, man, to see the way that, different people, they have this like artsy side behind them, man. And they don't really know it until they start diving deeper into their emotions and into their psyche. And it's so beautiful what comes out of it.
Oh, yeah. And I think that it's just props to you, Mama. I love you so much. Chris Chase, you are badass, and I appreciate you. And thank you for letting us read this poem and this tonight. I'm going to say a foreword to this real quick because it's really important as well. What we talk about today and ultimately each day is based upon our own experiences and the research that we do each week and continue to do throughout our time. And we encourage others to do the same. We want you to come to your own conclusions. We want you to base your knowledge off of the experiences and research that you've done. And that is so important in today's society. And I really want to encourage that moving forward. As well as, please go check out our last episode, Self-Worth Part 2. Like, comment, subscribe. It means the world to us that we're able to help you, and to support us in any way means so much. And y'all, with that, we're going to bring you today our podcast on finding your frequency. And I'm going to start us off with a question, just to throw us in there. What has and is frequency in the first place, Zach?
Okay, so to answer that question, Nick, everything has frequency. Anything that vibrates or has energy is going to have a frequency. As to the actual definition of what frequency is, Webster defines frequency as the number of occurrences of a repeating event per unit in time, or 1/T. So the higher the frequency, the smaller the amount of time that you're going to have, and vice versa.
I think there's also another definition there's a couple definitions for frequency, and there's another one that I saw. It was the number of waves that pass a fixed point per unit of time. And so that's another frequency, like the frequency of light rays and other things like that. But I want you to understand it's important because everything is vibrating. Everything. And I'm going to put a link down in the everything, literally. I'm going to put a link down in our video once this comes out. But it's going to talk about the Higgs Principle and how literally scientists recently have found that even a box of nothing, with nothing in it, not a single thing, not a single field, not anything, it is violently vibrating. And that is due to the Higgs Principle, and that's a whole nother topic. But everything is vibrating, everything is giving off a frequency, and that is important. Because what we really mean by what we want to talk about finding your frequency and all this is frequency is the energy or vibrations that you are putting off or that you are being given at all times. At all times.
At all times. And this could be almost thought about as like a state of emotion or a state of being. We talk about all the time, happy, mad, sad, depressed, lust, all these different emotions that you feel, they put out different frequency.
Well, completely.
So, yeah, completely different, man. Like they're completely different. But one of the things that's so amazing about this and about having free will is that, guys, again, you have the power to change your frequency and put out the frequency that you actually want to pull into your life. So before we lose you here, I'm going to let Nick dive in a little bit more into what is this frequency? Like, what is this? Is this our attitude, our emotional state? What is this, Nick?
I think a really good point to make here is, just like I said on my podcast with Greg Peace, is life is what we continue to make it. And I continue to seek the best outcomes, seek the happiest choices that I can make, or the things that I want to do, because that's the life I want to live. And you have to realize that, of course, there's some situations you can't get out of, but ultimately, we have the choice to react in any situation however we want, because that is what free will is. And along the lines of these frequencies and higher in emotions, y'all, I know we talked about Dr. Joe Dispenza a lot in this podcast before, but he has a book called Becoming Supernatural, and he's done scientific research into elevated emotions and the frequencies they give off. And I'm going to give you a few elevated emotions. Your elevated emotions are going to be something like love, something like freedom, something like bliss. You vibrate at such a high frequency at those emotions that you're giving off literal vibes. Like if you are in such a loving state, if you're in such a blissful state, if you're feeling so free, you're giving off those emotions. People can feel that around you. Now, the same thing goes as you go down. So we have bliss at the top, freedom, love. We're getting lower now. Joy, appreciation, gratitude, will, power. Now we're getting into some of these lower frequency emotions, control, anger, fear, even lower, slower. These are your survival, getting to survival emotions, guilt, shame, suffering, victimization, pain, and lust. And when you're giving off those emotions, people can feel it. You're vibrating at such a low, you're like, it's almost like a hum, like there's something menacing around you. And this is important to realize, is that you're giving off these frequencies at all times. At all times. Again,
Nick,
just like I said earlier.
There's a quote that says, to know yourself is to know your enemy. And what's so amazing about that, and I think what he means by that quote, is to know yourself, to know what you're vibrating, to know what you want, to know the direction you want to go. You already know what frequency you're giving off. So when you come into a situation or a group or an environment where, you're starting to get the heebie-jeebies a little bit, or, your brain's telling you, hey, maybe I shouldn't be here. It's because of that frequency that those people are giving off. So if you're in one of those moments where you know the type of person you are, you know who you are at the core of your being, but you're starting to feel turmoil, you're starting to feel this anger inside you, coming, it's the people around you that's giving that off. It's the frequency. It's what's in the air. You hear that expression all the time, man. I think something may be in the air. No,
Well,
man.
let me give you an example. Let me give you an example real quick. You go into work, and you've probably been told many times in my life, and maybe you guys have too, is that like you walk in, like leave your stuff at home and come into work with a good attitude or something like that. But then you'll be sitting there and like someone like me walks in and I'm like buzzing, I'm lifted, I'm happy, I'm feeling just gifted to be alive. That's going to bounce off and it's going to reverberate around the people and they're going to vibe. But also if someone comes in, they've had a horrible day and they can't get it off their mind, they're going to vibrate that to other people too. It's going to reverberate around you. Your vibe is your tribe. The people you surround yourself with are going to constantly they're either going to amplify your frequency or they're going to basically stifle that. You got to remember that.
It's interesting, man. It's because, the ability to control our emotions is something that, we will probably never achieve like fully, but I think it's something that we should strive for. Because when you're in the frequencies of fear and anger and you allow that to consume you, your potential's falling down, man. It's going lower and lower and lower. But in turn, if you use that to conquer like your daily challenges or to continue to move forward positively, man, you're gonna start having that frequency of vigor and excitement and like Nick talks about, that high energy. That it's gonna fill your heart, it's gonna fill your brain. And to change your frequency, it's almost like a mixture of what is it? What does he say? It's almost like a mixture of behavior modification, but transforming your heart at the same time. And that's what's so great about free will and what we talk about opening the doors in your own life, is because you have that ability right now. People tell you all the time, man, it doesn't matter what you're doing, fake it till you make it. Me and Nick have decided in 2021, there will be no more faking. Fuck faking. We are not faking no more.
Well, I think there's no reason to. What does it bring you?
No, nothing. You are faking. You are faking your emotions. You are putting a plastic bag around your body, around your mind, around your soul, just so it doesn't get dirty.
I would rather see y'all just completely avoid situations than ever. And like we talked about it on the podcast before, and I'm rescinding this. I know we've talked about faking it till you make it. It's over. we learn to grow, and that's what we do here at the Doors. We're continue to find these doors, open them, or either close them. We're closing the door on being fake, or faking it till you make it. And you don't need it. It's not going to do you anything.
So instead of that, guys, there's going to be days when you don't want to do anything. There's going to be days where you want to sit on the couch. You don't want to do shit. I get it. Been there, done it. You may not be prepared. You're going to be unmotivated, undisciplined. Whatever it is, it's a part of life. It's the grand scheme of life that's making you a better person if you'll let it. Take a deep breath, guys. Take a deep breath right now, just with me. Don't drop your head. Don't lower your standards and lower your frequency because you're chasing something that doesn't serve you, or because you're chasing someone that doesn't serve you.
Damn.
Achieve your vision. Take your heel, guys. And it's one of those things where you have the ability right now to climb your mountain. And better yet, don't climb it. Fucking move it, because you guys are that powerful.
Okay. So here's where I'm gonna come in and say it's I don't think it's about climbing your mountain. I think it's about being the mountain. And as I want you all to realize that success can never be achieved. Success is a state of being. Happiness can never be achieved. Happiness is a state of being. All the things you ever wanted to become is not something you can never achieve. It's something you have to be.
Exactly. And it's the question, what is the most important part of life? Is it the journey, or is it the destination?
Exactly. And you guys, that's where, you guys, I've done this. I'm gonna do this, and if she sees this, it's gonna be pretty funny. But recently, I was talking to my buddy Coda, and I was I'm a gentleman. I would like to say I was raised to be a gentleman, and I enjoy being a gentleman. And I was talking to my buddy, and I was like, if I'm going to be a gentleman, it's time to stop thinking like a gentleman and just start acting like one. I have to be in a state of being a gentleman. And I was like, if I ever wanted to go out and just enjoy coffee with someone that I quite find attractive and might just want to become closer friends with, or see where it goes, wherever, I have to do those things. I have to ask those questions. And so I went and did that. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand that the things that you want to become all start with just being it from the beginning. Taking that singular fucking step. That single step that we always fucking talk about. But it's a fucking step.
So let's say this, man. So you guys listening, fuck the fake it. Don't be fake no more. Crave it. Crave your reality.
Wait. So we're craving. We're craving this shit.
There's no more faking. There's no more faking it. There's craving it. And we're going to crave it until we make it happen.
That's fucking right. Because list off some things that you fucking crave.
All right. Some things that I crave. Success. Fulfillment. Self-realization. A godlike mind. A body that doesn't get tired. And these are just material things, you know what I mean? These are just things that are meant for me. These are things that I'm passionate about, to provide value to people, to raise the collective conscious of the world. These are things that I'm passionate about. These are things that I want my frequency to give off. So when I'm in those low states, like Nick was talking about, of depression and turmoil and anxiety and all this.
Real quick. And you're going to have those. You have to realize that you can never be the person you want to be 100% of the time.
No, and most of the time, guys, it's more of like a kind of a 60-40 thing. You're in that motivated state, 40% of the time, and then the 60%.
This is great. This is fucking great. Oh my gosh. This is just like a frequency. If you look at a graph of waves, or just like ocean waves, up and down and up and down, we have a wave period. We have pressure that ends up coming, compression, expansion, and it's always this rippling effect. And we're going to go through that in our entire lives, and you have to realize that. Now I'm getting to realize that is that I can't be happy all the time, or I can't be successful all the time, but if I'm in a state of being and doing that and trying to be that all the time, and I'm craving that so that I can crave it to make it, damn right, if I keep putting time and effort into it, I'm going to be there. but you
Nick,
can't expect to be there at all times.
we said in self-worth part 2, realize, reflect, and then react. When you come out of the reaction stage, when you come out of that reaction stage, now you have the power. You're aware. Okay, my
Taking my
frequency.
sweater off. I'm too hot.
Yes. There you go. There you go. Your frequency.
He's bringing the heat.
Okay? I shouldn't be around these people. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be eating this. I shouldn't be drinking this. Well, guess what? Fucking stop. Don't lower your frequency to fucking please someone else.
Fuck you have fake in 2021.
Damn right. Crave your success. Crave it till you make it. Not fake it. Crave it.
Crave the happiness. Crave the joy. Crave the people you want in your life. Crave the things that you want to become. Crave the books you'll eventually read. Crave the moments that you'll never forget. And when you crave those things, the things that mean more to you than anything else, and you put your time and effort into those things and let your frequency vibrate on those things, whoo, that's some music to my ears.
It damn right is, man. So, Nick, I got a question.
I got an answer.
Do you lose energy throughout the day, you think?
Fuck, dude, yes. Like,
I guess it was rhetorical, huh?
I mean, so, like, I got energy out my ass, y'all. I do. And it comes in spurts. But, like, if I got energy, I got energy. Like, if you give me a 20-minute break, I'll be back on my feet. I'm Gucci. But, yes, of course, I go through ups and downs in my energy throughout my day.
But are you aware of when those times actually take place?
Honestly, no. That now that you ask me, fucking, not really.
See, these are the questions that, we're talking about finding our frequency and bouncing to that point. It's one of those things I'm like, even being aware of that, even being aware of, okay, it's coming around lunchtime. I know right after lunch, I get really tired. So I need to think, okay, how do I make more energy for myself? If I know I'm going to be tired, how am I going to get through this?
I have an answer to that, but this has nothing to do with frequency. But I want to know. I'm going to answer this my way, and then I want you to tell me why in frequencies this matters. But I like eating salads for lunch because it makes me feel good and it gives me lots of energy. So that's what I do. But
so we're talking about your vibration and what you're putting out.
Yeah.
And Nick told you guys before, that highest form, that purest form is going to be love. It's going to be gratitude. It's going to be those happier emotions, not lust and depression and all that stuff. So we're talking about crave it till we make it. What do you think would happen if in that state where we're tired and we're falling down, if instead of bitching about it, instead of putting ourselves in a lower frequency, if we just smile, if we just think a happy thought.
If we just fucking smile?
We just smile, man. Think about it for a second. You are in a state of depression, and instead of fuck this, fuck the world, I'm falling down, I'm not getting back up, you just smile about it.
Okay. So
what do you think that does to your frequency? What do you think that does?
Well, I think so. Instead of just thinking about smiling, I want you to think about the things you're grateful for in those moments. And be like, and I want you to be truthful, because the things we essentially need, the real things we essentially need, a roof over our head, water that we can drink, and food we can eat. And then the people we care about, the things that we like to do, the things we're able to do because we have the power to do that. When you look at that and you can just simply say, when you smile through that in those moments and understand that, like, I have people that care about me, I have people that think about me. And you can think about just one small thing, I don't want you to think about all these things. I want you to think about one small thing. Because that one small thing can keep you going through it all. Because when you have a why, you can conquer almost any how. And where is that from, bro?
Viktor Frankl, A Meaning to Life.
That's fucking right.
Love it, man. I love it. But it's so true, Nick. It's so true. Do you remember the discussion we had the other week when we were talking about, and I said, this is what keeps me fighting. This is what keeps me going. And you told me, well, not everyone has a fight that they're fighting. And
Mm-hmm.
I took a step back, and it really hit me. It was like, some people have no idea that they have people in their corner. They have no idea that there's people that want to see them succeed. They have no idea that there's people that are vibrating at similar frequencies than they are. And it's my hope, man, and I really pray each and every day for this, that you people, you find value, you find hope, and you find clarity in your life, because it's there, and it's yours for the taking. It's just getting to a point where you can see it, you can become aware of it, and you can realize, reflect, and react.
Y'all, and that's important, because just like that smile, just like we're talking about, that's a frequency of your thoughts and emotions, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. If you can move your thought and how you're feeling in that moment, or it's something you want to become, and how you want the actions you want to take to become that, if you can take that first step to aligning with that frequency. So if you find happiness in gardening, I'm just throwing something out there, I don't know if I can idea. If you find happiness in just being outside gardening, and you just do that 10 minutes a day, or maybe even 5 minutes a week, and that starts making you happy, or that starts becoming something that you enjoy, and you start putting some more thought into it, some more action, some more emotion behind that, you're going to start realizing that. I'm not even answering this. I want you to ask me this. I want you to answer this question, Zach. Do you think that frequency is a path? Could it be a path? Could aligning these thoughts and actions lead you to somewhere you need to be?
All right. So I'm going to give you my answer, and then I want you to answer it too, Nick, because I think it's really important, because we have very, very different opinions of this, and I think they can get a lot of value from what we both have. So I necessarily don't think it's the path, but I think it's part of the path. I think it's something that you have to realize is part of it, almost like a tool in your toolbox. You know what I mean? It's something to help you get to where you need to be.
Mm.
And if you realize what frequency you're giving off, it's something that you can manipulate and use for your own good. But at the same time, it's something that can dig you a hole in the ground as well. Because if you don't realize, man, I'm vibrating at one of these low levels, and you stay there for years and years and years, and Joe Dispenza talks about this, what happens, Nick?
You end
It
up,
becomes a habit.
it becomes a habit, but your body gets accustomed, addicted to that.
Uh-huh. And so you're in a stressful state all of your life. It becomes normal for you. It becomes a state of flight or flight is no longer a state of fight or flight. It's your normal reality. So when you're calm, when you're happy, when you're actually feeling these loving frequencies, these loving emotions, guys, you have no idea what they feel like anymore. So you run back to what's normal: stress, turmoil, anxiousness, anxiety, depression, lust, whatever. Let's do our best to turn away from those, to gravitate a higher frequency, not just for ourselves, but for the others around us. If we can all do that, I feel like that makes it part of our path, you know?
I enjoyed that response, and I think very much of the same. I think it can help align you with a path you want to go to. I don't think it's ultimately the path, but I think that the more you surround yourself with the vibes that make you feel like the most you that you are, that's going to guide you to where you need to be. And this is another side note, but I want you to think about how often situations disrupt our own frequencies. I know this is a little interesting thing, but because most of the time, like for me right now, like I'm doing fucking amazing, to be honest. I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm working on the things I care about. There's of course things that I could be more worried about, or put stresses on me, but I try to do my best to deal with them and then move on and focus on the things that matter. And So this guy on TikTok, and he was talking about this is, imagine I'm going through a really stressful situation. And this guy walks up and he goes, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, not right now, not this moment. I'm just talking about who are you, not what's going on around you, this situation, not any of that. Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm doing good. There's nothing really bad going on." He's like, "Okay, cool. I need you to realize that. I need you to realize that most of the time, a lot of the things that stress us out are situations that eventually will be dealt with, that eventually have a solution, that eventually just mean that we are moving forward. That's not going to affect us completely. We're doing fine. That situation is what's really the matter."
You know, man, it's one of the things that I really wish that we could dive more into, especially in, when we're young, when we're kids, when we're coming up and we're producing these theta waves and because as we get older, it becomes a little bit harder to reprogram our neural pathways. And for you guys that don't know, so your brain is responsible for all of this, to send all of this out. And one of the sweet spots that people talk about is the cohesion between the brain and the heart. So when the brain and the heart are on the same frequency and they're vibrating very similar, this is when you're in those flow states. You're in those moments where it seems like nothing can go wrong. But it's when they get all out of whack that it really, really matters to become aware and to look at yourself in a honest and honest truth, or an honest perspective. Because we talk about all the time, there's some things that you're going to find that you don't like. But just even in the surrendering of that, even in the surrendering of realizing that this has happened, you can find some clarity. So I hope that we can move towards trying to get our frequencies of our mind and our heart on the same path. And I hope that you guys, you're able to find some value in this podcast. You're able to find some value in the things that we're talking about, and research these yourself. Find truth in this in your own life.
And I completely agree. And like, there's some interesting aspects, like a frequency that can really, really like be a little more controversial. But before we jump into anything else or that, it's important to just like Zach said, distinguishing the frequencies that align with you. And like, sometimes the people that you surround yourself with aren't going to be the people that you need to have beside you. And you need to be able to distinguish the frequencies they're giving off, the vibes, the intentions, the things that they're trying to accomplish. And does that align, or do they even, does it help them? Does it help you? Does it encourage you? Does their presence matter in you becoming what you need to become? Or is it hindering you in some way? Is it belittling you? And that is something that I've been dealing with a lot. And for most of the time now, I just don't put myself in these situations around these people that going to belittle or diminish my amplitude of my frequency.
And I think what also is rather important too, going along with what you said, is not lowering your standards when you get around these groups or you get around these situations or people. You know, you've got to realize, guys, your worth, and you've got to realize that what you're vibrating at, what frequency you're putting out, is what you're going to get back in life. And this is something that took me so long to wrap my head around, because it was like, well, I'm giving back, so I'm going to get back. You know what I mean? And it shouldn't be like that. You should realize that there's things in this world that we're almost made not to know. A human can only hear 0 to 20,000 hertz, but it goes up to 1,000,000 hertz. It could go beyond 1,000,000 hertz. There's things that we have no clue about. So try to take life almost like a comedic version of it if you can. I know that's hard sometimes, but when we're gravitating towards gratitude, we're gravitated towards happiness, we're gravitated towards love, we're going to keep that in our lives, guys. We're going to give that back to the people around us. When you walk into a room, let people know the vibration that you're putting off. Let them know that, hey, this is what I stand for.
Dude, this is honestly
And
really.
when you walk in there, go ahead, Nick.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. This is honestly really interesting. There's a guy named James Silvas, and he runs another podcast. It's called Be the 1%, and I'd love to interview him someday. And honestly, I'll probably send this to him, talk to him, tell him that I talked about him. But he just put out a video, and it said that we are unconsciously and consciously always basically telling people how to treat us. And this is completely with.
Hang on. Say that, please, one more time. Say that, please.
This is by James Silvas. He is a podcaster on Be the 1%, and he said that we are unconsciously and consciously always telling people, we're showing people how to treat us. And this is important to realize because humans are horrible guessers. We can feel vibes. We can feel that you're angry, but we don't know what you're angry about. We can feel that you're happy, but you don't know what you're happy about. It's important to, as a individual that wants things to be clear, concise, and to be treated a certain way, to communicate those things, to communicate so that others understand, or even so, to set up boundaries and communicate when they've been crossed. Set up ground rules in your own head and communicate when those have been crossed. Because people don't, like, if I set up ground rules in my head or a frequency I'm trying to avoid or something, and it ends up being that someone crossed that boundary that I set in my head, and I didn't communicate it, and I'm butthurt about it. But they have no fucking idea. How is that helping anyone? How is that helping anyone?
Listen, and people get so tuned in on revenge, man. This is what I see a lot. Revenge. I'm going to get him back. I'm going to get her back. No. Listen, the only person you got to get even with is yourself. That is it. You don't need to get even with anybody else but yourself. And that's it. And it's taking responsibility, being accountable for what you do as a person. You know, there's all these different hacks that we could go in and we could talk about for a long time, but you know, I think you guys got the gist of this. We will be what we constantly think about, and we will be what attitude we put out. And that's one of the things that you can directly correlate to your frequency that you're putting out is your attitude. If you got to sit there and think, man, I'm kind of being a little rude to them right now, you're probably putting out a nasty frequency. If you're over the top, over-go-lucky, happy, yeah, you're probably putting out a pretty high frequency, but is that good? Is it going to be used, you know, or are people just going to take advantage of you? So there's a very thin line between that.
Damn right.
But,
dude,
you know,
I think this podcast has been a fucking amazing one, man. Holy shit. Woo!
I'm going to leave you guys because I think we've done a really great job here, and I hope that this brings you value. I hope and pray that we're all moving forward. We're constantly growing. If you guys need anything, please feel free to DM Nicholas and I. We're always open to talk. As always, we're trying to get some more viewer content. So if you guys are writing poetry, you're writing a book, music, you know, you're in the fitness industry, you're trying to do something big, please, we would love to collaborate with you. But I'm going to leave you with a Bible verse from Romans 12, chapter 2. And it says, "Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And I hope today, guys, we renewed that mind. I hope we changed that frequency. And I hope now that you're aware that you have the power to open any and every door that you want in your life.
Woo! I got goosebumps. Woo! Woo!
Mic drop.
Fuck. Damn right, dude. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you, and we love you so much.
Adios, amigos.
Adios.
Grazie.
Goodbye.